As people have shared their testimonies at the church before, I have been urged and I've heard my spirit telling me that I should share my testimony. And I have usually plugged my ears and not listened at all. For some years, I ran away from God. I know life can get scary, things can hurt, you can run, you can curse, and even feel broken, and God never leaves you. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you guys is, I know that I had a moment in my life, and I will never forget the day is my worst day ever. My husband had taken his life on Father's Day 2011, and I was the one to find him. I called my dad that morning, which is Father's Day. I called my dad to come down, and he had to help me, and him and I were the only ones that saw my late husband in that position, which totally broke me. I cried, I ran from God, I felt hurt and lost, I cursed. I didn't understand why God would take my husband, why he would take my son's dad, or why he would let me be the one that had to find him, because that haunts me every day now. I know that all the years that I was broken, that I wasn't alone. But at first, I felt alone. I was at Eagle Village back in 2011 when my husband passed, and thankfully, I had some good staff there, some good support, and just people to help guide me through that time. I had to reap and sow into children, telling them life is worth living, all the while not understanding a single thing about why life was worth living, because I was so broken. I would sit in the chapel with those kids, and I would bring them here to this church, and I would listen to the words from the pastors, and they would be telling me, and I would hear this message many, many times, and I will share that with you now. Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know I have plans for you, declared the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans for you to give you hope and a future." And I thought he was not talking to me. For sure, God could not have been talking to me, did not have good plans for me, couldn't have, not the way I was feeling. I plugged my ears, I didn't listen. My spirit was fighting inside of me as I heard that message many, many times. I knew God wasn't talking to me. And as I was running for years, not wanting to listen, I'd hear my spirit stirring inside me. I knew that he was there. He had always been there all my life. I knew him from childhood on, but I was plugging my ears and running. I was not listening. About 2016, I had finally surrendered to God. I know that my spirit, like I said, was just guiding me, and it whispered to me, just go to church. And when I started trusting God, things started to get better. So I continued to follow God, and I know that God never leaves you, and he was chasing after me the entire time. So I was changed inside when I surrendered and gave it all back to God. I started to trust him and follow him more, and now I continue to do that every day. I feel renewed, I feel redeemed, and I know that God has brought me through all of that. If I look back through all the years since my husband has passed, I can refer to the Footprints in the Sand poem, because when I look back and there's only one footprint in the sand, it wasn't mine. I know I wasn't alone and that God carried me. So I know he never leaves you. Even when you run, even when you try to hide, God just doesn't leave you. So after I was awakened, I had to stay strong in my faith and dive deep into my healing into Jesus. Everything did not change overnight, but I continued to come to church every single day, and I've continued to grow through Christ, and everything has gotten better since then. Everything's not always happy-go-lucky, but if you follow God and trust his plan, you can see that he really has so many good things for you. And I really didn't think he was talking to me before, but I've been awakened, and I see now what he has done for me, and I know that there's so much more than I could have ever imagined for myself. I know that if you guys are struggling, that God is there for you too, and he will never leave you. So you can curse, you can hide, you can run, but if you've ever accepted him, he's there, he's with you, and you're never alone. So I want to share with you as well that I've helped my daughter come back to God, and she sent me just yesterday, and this is something that I had said to her so many times through all the years that I had felt broken, and once I was awakened, I kept telling her, you can run, but you can't hide. She sent me this quote, and it says, from a book that she's reading, no matter how hard I was trying to run from God, he wasn't going to leave me alone until I surrendered to him. She read this from a book I've never heard of, but he said the exact same thing as me. And that was the exact message I'm trying to get across to all of you. So just know that God never leaves you and you're never alone. I hope that you know that with your brokenness, God can use anyone. And that's kind of, I think, how he woke me was he broke me first and then he woke me back up. So he can use you and turn you into a masterpiece if you just trust him.